Hello, thank you once again and welcome to my channel. Um, in today's tutorial, we are going to play around with Terraform. So as you probably know, Terraform is used to automate infrastructure on a cloud environment. So you could use it whether it's AWS, it's Azure or Google Cloud. You could use Terraform to automate it or to deploy infrastructure. And when you come down here, you can see some of the things you could use Terraform to do. As you can see, common use cases for Terraform. And I want us to do here, or what we are going to achieve, is something very simple, I should say. We are going to use Terraform to kind of fetch information from AWS. And the information I want us to fetch from AWS is the AMI, for instance. So usually you could go on AWS and just fetch whatever information that you and fetch the information from here. But what I want us to do is to use it to do it programmatically. So in order not to waste any time, let's proceed. The first thing that we need to do is to create a user. Once we create a user, we will create a key pair. So this information is the information, or rather, when we create the key pair, that's what we will use to connect to our AWS using CLI. And in order to proceed, let's go on create. So we can give it a name. Let me call mine TechLynq. So you can call it whatever you want. And we are going to attach policies directly because we are going to do quite some things on AWS. So we are going to just choose this option. And what we are looking for is administrators access, right? So let us choose administrators access, and that's all that we need. So next, and the next thing we need to do, let's just create the user. So the user has been created. So let us open it, and that's the page. That's the user that we created, obviously. And that's the policy that we chose. And now we are going to create a access key, or key pair, if you will. So let us go there and then choose CLI because we will use, in my case, I'm going to use the terminal because I'm using a MacBook. If you are using Windows, you could use Git Bash, for example. That's quite similar to terminal. So choose that option and I understand, and next. And the next thing, we can just create the access key. So our access key has been created. We are going to use it. So it is important to keep this very safely. The next thing I want us to do now is to use our access key, the access key that we just created to enable our my terminal to connect to the AWS, right? So for that, this is my terminal. Like I said, you can use Git Bash. And let's say this is what we need to do. So you can AWS Configure. So it's going to ask us some information. So the information you provide here would be exactly what what you have here. So let me copy the access key because that's what it's asking us for. So that's my access key. It's asking us for the secret key. Like I said, this secret key is very, very obviously, after this tutorial, I'm going to delete it. So be sure to keep yours safely if you want to keep it. So I'm going to copy my access key and paste it there. So now it's asking us the region. So my region is US East 1. So as you can see, US East 1, that's my region. So I can just copy, write it there, US East, oh, US East 1. So the default output format, let's use JSON. So that's all. And the next thing I need to do, I have a folder on my desktop that I want to use. That's where I'm going to run my code. So let me see what I got. It's empty. It's empty. So what I need to do now is to go on Visual Studio and start writing my code. As I said, so what I'm going to use is Visual Studio Code. So you could use something else if you wish, but I like using it. The first thing you need to do is, in order to make the code writing easier for you, is first of all to install this package. It is called HashiCorp Terraform. So this is like an autocomplete, which helps you to write your code. So just install it. So I already have it installed. So the next thing I need to do is to create a file inside this folder that I've got on my desktop. So I'm going to call it instance. Let's say instance id.tf. This is very necessary to have a .tf at the end of the file name, because that's how the Terraform files are saved. So what we're now going to do is to write our resource scope. Let us write as a resource. So in that case, we're going to write data. So the resource, the AWS resource is AWS underscore AMI. Remember, we want to fetch AMI information, which we are going to use later. So we are going to give it a name. So the name we could give it is, let me call it AMI ID. So inside this scope, we are going to have a couple of things that we are going to fetch. So the first thing we need to do is, let me see. Let's see. Most recent. First of all, oh, there is a mistake here. This shouldn't be there. So what we need to do is most recent. Let's say true. So this means that it's going to fetch the recent version. So we are going to also have a couple of filters. Basically, we're going to have two of them. So let me quickly write this, and then I'm going to explain to you what I'm doing. So the name of this filter will be, the name is string, it will be name. Then we also have values. So these values is going to indicate what kind of image that we want to fetch from from AWS. So this is going to be a list, and we are going to fetch all these things together. Let us finish. Oh, let us finish first of all writing up our filters. So after this filter, we need additional filter. So this one, we are going to name it. It's going to also have a name, and also it's going to have values, right? So the name also is a string, and the value uh, is a list in Python at least. So this is let's go to AWS. So when you log in, just go to what you need to search for is just search for AMIs. Let's see. That's what you're looking for. So just search for this. So once you find it, let me make some room here. So once you find it, the image I want us to use, because we are going to use something that is free, right? Ubuntu. It's going to be Ubuntu. So let's search for, I think it's called Jami, something like that. Let's look for it. Make sure that you are under public images. Make sure that you are under images. Uh, Let me search from here. This can be quite slow sometimes. So yeah, so as you can see, let us look for something here. And how many? Oh, there are quite a whole lot of stuff. So let me see what we can use. Let's see. I think we could use this. Let us click on this and see what information we've got. So let me go back there and see what information we've got. So as I said already, so the first thing that we need here is to fetch this information. So the resource is going to be Ubuntu. So just make sure that you have only Ubuntu, and you could fetch all these if you want to be specific. So let me go back to my Visual Studio and I paste it. So you can just leave it like this. But if you don't want to be specific, you can just remove that and add star there. So the next thing we need is the visualization type. So which you can find here. There is a visualization type. As you can see, the value is HVM. So let us have our visualization type there. And then here, let us have a HVM. Oh, HVM, that's what this one should be. And the next thing we need to do is owner. So who is the owner of owners? Sorry, with S, owners. So who is the owner of this, or who are the owners of this image? So this is going to also be a list. So as you can see, most of this information you can find here, or if not all of them. So as you can see, the owner is canonical. That's the name of the people who own this. So this is their ID. So you can copy their ID and also paste it there. The next thing we need to do is to be able to print out the information that we fetched from AWS. In order to do that, we can say output, and then let us give it a name. Let's say instance ID. Let us call it instance ID. The next thing we need here is let's give it a description. Let's call it also let's say name of instance. Then it should have a value. Value is the value. Remember, this is value without the S. So the value is going to be data dot AWS, the name of the resource. AWS, actually, we already got what we are looking for here. So you see, this is why the autocomplete is really useful. So as you can see, this data is that the AWS AMI is the resource, and then the name of the name that we gave it. Remember, you can give this whatever name you want. This is what is necessary. This has to be AWS AMI. So now that we have all this, we can then, because what we want to fetch is the ID, right? So let's add the ID. So again, this is very useful because there are so many things you can access from here, but we want the ID. So that's all we needed. And now let us save and then go to our terminal. So here, this is my terminal. I'm in the folder where I've got this, let's see, ls. So as you can see, I've got this in the folder. So the first thing I need to do, because sometimes this code after writing it, it doesn't format properly. So let's see, this is not necessary, but sometimes it's quite helpful if you want to reformat your code, especially if the code is long. So let us say Terraform format. You see what happened? It just shifted the code, reformatted it. It looks prettier now. So that's the first thing. The next thing we need to do is to initialize our code. So first of all, we do Terraform and then we Terraform init. So this is going to take, sometimes this takes like 1 minute or thereabout. So, but let's see, sometimes it could be fast. So what it's doing now is finding the latest version on of HashiCorp AWS resources, for example, and then it is reinstalling it, installing version 5 something. That's what's happening now. So I'm going to leave this and come back to you when it finishes. Now it took probably 2-3 minutes to initialize. So as you can see, we can run Terraform plan, which is not necessary in this case because all we need to do, what we are trying to do is to fetch information. But if we were deploying resources onto the AWS, then this would be necessary because you first of all want to be sure that you are applying the right that the action you are trying to take is what it should be. So let us just try and do Terraform plan as suggested to us and see what is going to happen. Hopefully it's not going to take as much time. So we've got an error. Let's see what the issue is. Let's see. Terraform encountered an issue. So let's see. Let me try something. So let me do it again. We still oh, right. Okay. So basically, the problem was that the V was uppercase. So it means that this is case sensitive. So now that, as you can see, that's the resource that was sent back to us, right? So that's remember what we wrote here? We have like name of instance. As you can see, the output is here. So, and here it's warning us because we didn't save the information anywhere, right? So that is how you can use Terraform to access resources or to fetch AMI ID from AWS. I hope this training has been helpful. If that is the case, please try to subscribe and tell me what you think. Thank you and have a nice day.